Yeah, hello. So now let us actually perform some data wrangling on the HINS data, which is the Health Information National Trend Survey data, which is a US population-based data set, okay? Yeah, so we are going to look at how we can quickly, perform some data cleaning if you have such a data set, okay? Yeah. So before then, the data is available, which is named HINTS data. So it's made available to you. And again, you can actually go to the code and then you can copy the code all the way down and then you can practice along, okay? So now what we are going to do is let's pull our, okay. So first of all, we have to be able to import the data. So this time we are going to use the read.csv and then use the choose.file function header equal true, which allow us to be able to go into our data directory and then select our data. Okay, so usually there's going to be a pop-up. Okay. Okay, so here is it. So now, so once you use that function, it opens up your folder and then you have to look for where your data is located. So my data is located here, so I select the data. So now the data is ready, okay? So we can look at the names in the data set. So we have different names. We have the HHID, we have the person's ID, quality of care, health insurance, age, education, race and ethnicity, and so on and so forth, okay? So you can also, we can actually look at the dimension of the data set, okay, by looking at dimension of, so means data. So so now we can run that line. So we have 3,608 so 3,865 rows, which is observation, and then we have 17 columns, which is the normal variables we have, okay? So you can use the head to again get the first 6 observation of each of the columns. And then now let us use the summary, to just get a fair idea of what the data looks like. So here the summary. So you can see that right away we have some negatives within the data set. And some of these negatives usually is either unknown response or missing data within the HINTS data set, okay? So, or either the respondent, they refuse to respond. So it's coded -9, okay? So now, before we perform any analysis, we have to be able to remove all these negatives, okay? And then before we can proceed to perform our analysis, for instance, marital status is given in some categorical variable. And most of the time, this HINTS data, most of the variables tend to be categorical variables, okay, or nominal variables. So before then, let us attach the data set so that you wouldn't have to bother using the $sign to call our variables. Okay, that one, usually that can be very, should I say, stressful. So let's attach the data set. Once we attach the data set, we don't have to use the $sign to actually call any variable. So for instance, we are interested in cleaning, let's say, gender, okay? We know birth gender variable. We want to exclude the -9 from the birth gender, which means people who either refuse to respond or it's a missing data, okay? So we are naming it our new data. So we are naming it HINTS data new, okay? Then we are going to our original data set, which is the data we imported, okay? And then now we are using the square bracket. And then in the square bracket, we are telling R to actually go into the birth gender and give us all variables that are greater than 0. So in other words, it is going to be able to ignore the negative numbers, okay? So for all the rows, give us the for all the rows of gender, give us the values that are greater than 0. Okay, so we can go ahead and run. Now let us run a summary and see whether we get it right. Okay, so now you can see that right away here, gender, we have the negative, but here you can see under Bev gender, there is no negative. Okay, good. So next we can actually, so you can actually expand this for several variables within your data set. Okay, so for instance, we can again say that our hence new data, and now we are going into this variables. We are going to actually ensure that we clean up all the negatives from the variables we are interested in. So let's say quality of care, health insurance, age, gender, full-time occupation, BMI, smoke status, weekly minute moderate exercise, average drinking per week. Okay, we don't need the negative. So now what we are going to actually do is we are creating a new data from our original data. Now we are using the square bracket and we use the concatenate function, which is the C function, because now we would want to select more than one variable and then perform that cleaning on it. Okay, so we use the concatenate function and then we said, okay, we need you to take the quality of care data, every row of the quality of care greater than 0, and we use this end function or end sign, okay, and then we will add the health insurance and okay, age also greater than 0 and gender greater than 0 in that order for all the other variables. Then we bring comma, okay? So bringing the comma over here now allow us to be able to get the remaining columns of the data set, okay? So now let us run it. So here's what we have. So now we can go ahead and then run the summary. So you can see the summary. So those variables, quality of care, insurance, age, gender, full-time occupation, marital status was not included. So we still have negative in marital status. But we have those other variables which include moderate exercise and then average drink per week. You can see the negatives have been excluded. Okay, so this is how you can actually clean up the hints data by excluding any data or values that were named negative, which is actually information you don't need in your data set. Okay, so now you can also, what you can also do is, for sure, you can be able to also create a new variable, okay? You can create a new variable from the existing variable. So for instance, if you take quality of care, let me run if you run summary, okay? So summary of what? So let us look at summary of, let's look at factor. We would want to look at the quality of care, okay? Factor of, let's look at the quality of care, okay? So look at the quality of care, okay? So there's a quality of care variable for this particular, for our hints data, okay? But then if you want the quality of care for the new data we created, which is the hints data underscore new. So we can look at hints underscore new, and then we can use the $sign to look for the quality of care. So there's the quality of care we selected, and then we can run the sum. Okay, so now by using the factor, we are able to actually see the quality of care is a categorical or nominal variable of 5 levels, okay? So individuals were asked about their quality of care, which ranges from poor to excellent. Okay. Yeah. So this is what we have. But then we want to perform our analysis to be able to see the names. Okay. So we want to create, let's say, create a new column. And then instead of the values of the names, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we actually want to see the original name, which is excellent, good, very good, good, fair, and then poor. Okay. So in this case, what we're actually going to do, again, to prevent yourself from stress, usually you can just attach the new data set, which is hints_data, so that you wouldn't have to bother using the $sign. Okay. But since we haven't done that, let us use the $sign. So we go into the hints new data, and then we said, give us the quality of care. And then now in that data, for quality of care equal 1. Remember, if you use double equal sign, it means strictly equal. So equal 1, assign it to what? A new name, which is what? Excellent. Again, go into the hints new data set, pull out quality of care, give it the name new, quality of care new. So that quality of care, we are creating a new column, which is called, we are calling it quality of care new. Okay. So we go into our hints data underscore new and create a new variable, which we are calling quality of care new. And then now go into that new hints data new, and then pull the quality of care, which is equals to 2, and then give it what? Very good. Now the same thing for the next one, which is our data, our new column name, and then go into the data, take the original variable, number equal 3, and then give it what? Good. Okay. So we are coming to run all this line of the code. Okay. So now let us run a summary of, so we are now running a summary of the factor of what? Of the hints data for the new variable quality of care new. Okay. But even before then, we can actually look at, let's say we would want to have the head of the hints new data to see whether we now have our new variable. Okay, so now you see this our new variable, and now that new variable is now in the form of characters, right? Good. So remember, if we have to if we decide to look for a summary of that hints variable, and then we run the summary, it's going to give this as a what? As a character. Okay. But the way in which we can actually see this as a factor is we can just run to see only this value, okay, which is the summary of the quality of care new. Okay. So now we have factor. We are going to use again summary, and then we are going to factor the quality of care new, which is a data within the hints data underscore new. So let's run it. So there we have it. Okay. So this is how you can actually, do. But then now you can even go into the hints. You can go into the hints data new, okay? And then you can use the $sign to call the new quality of care. And then now we can assign it to, we can say factor. So we can say factor of again hints $sign. We can go here, quality of care. So what we are doing now is, now we are actually going into the hints new data itself, and then make sure the quality of care variable is recognized by R as a factor variable. That way, once we are done, if we run the summary, we are not going to see a character like this, but you are going to see it as a factor variable, which will give us in the levels and then the number for each levels. So let's run it. Okay, so now let us go back and run the summary. The summary of hints. Okay. Okay, so let's run it. Okay, so here we are. So now you can see that it's now able to recognize the quality of KNU as a factor in the data set. Okay, so this is how for all the other variables that are categorical variable, if you want to recognize it as a factor, you can actually do that. So for instance, we can say that for we can take hints new and then give us race and ethnicity. Okay, so let's say for race and ethnicity, now we give a factor of what again, the hints new variable. Let's use the $sign to pull again race and ethnicity. So now it's going to be able to recognize race and ethnicity as a categorical or nominal variable. So now let us run our summary again. Okay, so now let us look for race and ethnicity. So where is the race and ethnicity variable? So you can see the race and ethnicity variable, it is now seeing it as as a factor. So now it is looking at, so how many missing data we do have? 168. We have race 1, which represent this number, race 2 represent this number, race 3 represent this number, race 4, and then race 5. Okay. All right, so this is how quickly you can easily clean the hints data, like the hints data, by excluding all the negatives from the data and perform some analysis, recategorizing the variable into a new column and then giving it new names and so on and so forth. Okay, so I hope this is helpful and I'll see you in another lecture. Take care.